Hell yeah, she asked me. What's up, family? How y'all doing? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Cafe de Paris, where I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Big ups to all of my subscribers. Again, I want to thank y'all for being a part of my platform, being faithful subscribers. I want to appreciate all of y'all who have been rocking with me since I started my channel in 2017. So I know this live is very abrupt, but I definitely wanted to get in today's topic because, as y'all know, I am a former correctional officer. I've done it for 2 years at a correctional facility, and I no longer work for that facility. But nevertheless, I have learned a lot, and it has given me a lot of confidence, and it's definitely shown me that this is the type of profession that every woman cannot do. Every woman cannot excel in being a professional correctional officer. So nevertheless, y'all, I have a special guest with me. She's going to be on the phone as I'm doing my live, and she was actually a co-worker. We worked together at the correctional facility. She's a really good friend of mine. She no longer works there either. But I know she will be an asset to this platform because she can give a lot of essential information. She's a very good friend of mine. I trust her with everything. And I'm glad that I did make some friends at the correctional facility because honestly, you can't trust the staff no more than you can trust the goddamn inmates, okay? So nevertheless, I wanted to bring her on because I know she knows her SHIT. She's been in the game for a very long time before I came there. And she actually gave me a lot of essential advice when I was a correctional officer during that phase of time. So all of us are familiar with the Vicki White situation. That was the correctional officer who got caught smuggling an inmate out of the helping the inmate escape out of the facility. And basically everybody was shocked because she was a good female officer. Nobody would understand what would make her jeopardize losing her job after she'd been there 20 something years. This woman was close to retiring. But anyway, I'm gonna let my friend go ahead and introduce herself because I know she's on borrowed time. Again, this is one of my ace boon coon. We both work together at the same correctional facility. With no further ado, introduce yourself, Mrs. Roberts. What's up, girl? What's good? I'm so glad you decided to do the show with me this morning. I know it's abrupt, but I appreciate it.
Anything for you, friend. Anything to help you.
Yes, absolutely, y'all. So as y'all can see, for all of y'all who are just coming in, what's up, Coach Malik? Everybody who's entering the chat. This is a good friend of mine, Roberts. You know, we call each other by last names and stuff or whatever. But yeah, also let's say this. Okay, so anyway, y'all, I got Officer R. I got her, well, former officer. I'm going to ask her a couple of questions, and that way we can kind of go from there. Because again, we used to work at the same correctional facility together. And she, matter of fact, let me just go ahead and go right into the questions. Okay, so how long have you been a correctional officer at the facility that we used to work at?
4 years.
4 years. Okay. So when did you finally decide to end your career as a correctional officer?
When I got engaged.
When you got engaged. Okay. So 4 years. Okay. Once you got engaged. Okay. So with that being said, what made you go into corrections to begin with?
I was always interested in, what goes on. You always have those family members that's going to jail, in and out. You know what I'm saying? You kind of get curious, like, how does it actually run? You see it from the front, the getting arrested part, but you never ever get the opportunity to see it behind the scenes. Once you in jail or you go to prison, you never get to see that part of how somebody's life is being transformed from one step to the next.
Okay, so it was more of a curiosity thing. Like, okay, I see stuff, I hear stuff, but let me see what it's really like working from indoors.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so which I know, but I'm sure the audience doesn't know. When you worked in a correctional facility, did you work with male inmates or female inmates or both?
Both.
Okay, so if you had to say which ones would you prefer to work with and why?
None of them.
Okay, I'll put it this way. All right, so what's the difference between working with a female inmate versus having to work with a male inmate? What was the difference for you?
The only difference is you don't have no. I can't even say they hitting on you because the females hit on you as well. But the one thing is that you ain't got to worry about them masturbating or seeing them being masturbating or anything on you. So that's one difference. But with the males, that to me are a little more respectable. You know what I'm saying? They're not so much trying to crowd your space.
I agree with that. I'll also say too, and I've mentioned this before, any of my subscribers who've been following me for a while, I've mentioned that the male inmates are not as petty compared to the female inmates. They don't hold grudges as long.
That's so true.
They don't hold grudges as long. You could write a male inmate up, take away his phone, take away his commissary, and you go back to that wing the next day, and he's not even tripping about it. He's still speaking to you. What's up, officer? You still mad at me? You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah, and and he'll just kind of jokingly keep it moving. But females, they will stay angry with you for months at a time over write up from probably like 6 months ago.
Yeah, goodness. Plotting and scheming.
Exactly. So which brings me to my next question, because again, that's why I decided to do the content, because there was this officer named Vicki White who allowed this man, she had been having an affair, not even an affair, she had been fraternizing with this particular inmate who was already in there for murder. Okay, and she had been having an ongoing fling with this inmate, and to add insult to injury, she'd been there 20 years. She was close to retiring. After all of these years she put in as a female correctional officer, matter of fact, I think she was sergeant, corporal. She had a high rank, she had a nice rank, and of course you've been there that long, eventually you'll get ranked up or whatever. So evidently for her to be high ranked, that means you've been doing a phenomenal job throughout your duration as an officer there. So for her to be willing to lose it all over an inmate who was already in there for murdering and taking other people's lives, you escaped with this inmate, got caught, killed yourself, because you knew had you gone into prison, you was going to be there for the rest of your life. So once you got caught with this inmate, you took your life, and basically that's what ended up happening. So this is the legacy you left behind after 20 years. So this the main question. And me and you was talking about this before I went live. What do you think is the reason why female officers end up getting caught up with these male inmates?
Okay, like we were talking about, I can't say that, saying you got to look at it like they're the majority of they a big part of their day they there. They witness people more than they actually with their families. I can't even say, some women, I can't say that they don't get attention outside. It's just, you just got to have a high self-esteem for yourself where, you going in, you got to have that mindset, this is my job.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here to provide a service as far as medical, making sure they have the things that they need, this common things, a rag, a towel, soap, you know, toothbrush, toothpaste. That's the only thing, what I'm saying, that you they get medical attention if they sick. But sometimes, it just it starts to become a lot when, you in there and you just sit out of attention. Here it
Mm-hmm.
is, males from left and right, what I'm saying? Some look real nice, some don't look so nice, what I'm saying? Coming at you all kind of ways, showing you this attention that, I don't know if you get or you don't get, but you know what I'm saying? And some
Mm-hmm.
probably do get it, but because, they're there so much, they start talking about, having this sob story, start telling you these sob stories, and what I'm saying, making you have like, what I'm saying, some
Mm-hmm.
empathy for them. So, that's just how it starts out. And,
Mm-hmm.
you did so much that, what I'm saying, eventually you start in your mind thinking, okay, this my friend, what I'm saying. He's my friend, but not my friend, what I'm saying. Just so much,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, I can, what I'm saying, kind of let my guard down a little bit with it or whatever and go on from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier before we actually went live, like you said, the problem is as a female officer, and you made a good point. You said earlier you're constantly the center of attention. So on an average day, an officer, our shifts work anywhere from 12 to 14 hours. So you're around these men from 12 to 14 hours a day. So it's a lot of conversation, and like you said, you're still a woman at the end of the day. You're going to see some guys that look good. You're going to see the dusties. I mean, county jail is like Baskin Robbins. You're going to see all type of assorted flavors.
Yeah.
Um, you're going to see the dusties. You're going to see the guys that are buff, in good shape. You have ones that are rude and obnoxious, which is mostly the dusties. And then you have the ones that are laid back, cool, calm, collective. You don't even know they there unless they speak to you. That's just how much they stout the scene. You know what I mean? And then you have the ones that are very combative, who will, trying to make your shift hard. They constantly beating on the door, getting out of pocket, getting out of character when they can't have their way, and when you write them up. So you're dealing with different men from different walks of life. So you're around them all of these hours, and it's always going to be one that may catch your eye to a degree. But even with that being said, like you said earlier, you still got to be professional. You can't get too lax, like, and I'm gonna ask you this in a minute. I'm gonna ask you another question in a few minutes. The problem with female officers, they get too lax. You start looking at them as a homeboy instead of an inmate, because they're joking with you all the time, laughing with you all the time. And there's certain things you got to pay attention to, like if this ninja is at your desk too much. This ninja always calling you to his cell. He's keeping you at his cell, talking to you for 20-30 minutes at a time, to where you're not paying attention to other things that's going on. What other slick things inmates are known to do if you don't read in between the lines? Like, I know, like I said, they'll come to your desk, try to distract you, calling you to the cell, keeping you there for 20-30 minutes at a time. Have you had any other experiences and when they try to distract you, make you lose focus?
Yeah, you know how they some of them get, act like they arguing, and what I'm saying, and you always have that one that's running around, from door to door doing stuff, trying to be slick, because one thing about being in there, and I know you talking about this female officer that helped this inmate, but do you remember when this guy got killed at a facility? Well, he didn't get killed, but he got beat up really bad in was it Rogers?
I think it was Wheeler.
Rogers.
Or Wilcox. Yeah, I think it was Wheeler. Yeah, I think it was Wilcox. Wilcox.
Yeah, he got beat up. They had beat him up, and he went in the medical part and stuff, and then when he came out, then he ended up getting killed. Okay. Things like that, people can look at it like, okay, the officer, they shouldn't have been doing their job and stuff like that as well. But, you know what I'm saying, as people, you got to get in there, you got to let your people know that, you know what I'm saying, don't go in there borrowing nothing from nobody, because, see, that's people are there to distract you. You got to be, you know what I'm saying, you got to have that mindset, you know what I'm saying, to pay attention to everything. Even, you know what I'm saying, one thing I should say, like being in working in corrections, it makes you be aware of your surroundings, whether you're there or you're not there. So, you know what I'm saying, people coming up there asking you, can you get them tissue, you know what I'm saying, because 9 times out of 10, you got to step off your desk and turn your back. Or somebody saying, oh, my roommate, he's not feeling good. Little trickery things like that. They love to play games.
Yep.
They love to play those kind of games. And, you go to the door and they pretend that they sick or whatever. Why? Somebody trying to put something under somebody's door, or, give them something. And so, you always have to be mindful of your surroundings at all times.
Yep, I agree, because you have to realize, well, me and you both know, being our former experience at corrections, that it's only one of you, and it's several of them.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah, exactly. I say what the average at the facility we worked at, we was over at least 50, what 60 to 70. What was the most allowed? I forgot.
I think it's like it could have been up to 70. Nothing over.
About 7. Yeah, so I say about 70. So it's more. So we know it's more of them than it is of you. So the facility where we work, it was only one officer per wing. And when we talk about wings, meaning that's when you're actually inside the actual jail where the inmates sleep, eat, and take a crap. You're in that particular part. Then you have other officers who work outside of the wing, which was basically those that were corporals and up, who didn't have to interact with the inmates as much as the correctional officers did. I mean, what we had to do, we dealt with these jokers up close and personal, every bit of 14 to 15 hours at a time. So also your experience as a correctional officer, what is some of the other issues you think that takes a toll on being a correctional officer?
The time, like you're saying, we there from 12 to 16 hours a day. We there day after day after day. Just hearing these sad stories, you got to be the officer first, but at the same time you're a counselor. You everything when you work in corrections. You're a correction officer, but you have many other job titles as well. You just you're the peacemaker. You everything in there. And these females having issues, you know what I'm saying? They feeling, because there's a lot of females that come in and they're pregnant, then they got to come back without their babies. They get depressed and sad because they couldn't even see the baby when they had their babies. Males, they lose their family members. And the one thing, that I hate about it is that at the same time, they act like it's our fault that they're in jail
Mm-hmm.
and they can't be out there with their family because your mother passed or your sister, your uncle, your cousin that you grew up with from childhood. That's not our fault. That's your fault. We didn't put you there. And a lot of times, that's
Mm-hmm.
how they look at it. Like they treat you like you had a part in them coming to jail when you had nothing to do with them coming in there. And then they get in there, they thinking, oh, okay, you're not on the street anymore. It's different rules in this jail than it is out there. And these are the rules you got
Mm-hmm.
to follow, else you 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 gonna get that write-up. You gonna get lockdown time. You gonna, you know what I'm saying, lose stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's a lot that you have to deal with on a daily basis, and it's mentally draining.
Mm. Yeah, you definitely brought up some significant points because it is very mentally draining. You have to realize in this type of profession, you're only one person, and we're always so understaffed. And it would be better if it had adequate staffing, it wouldn't be as stressful. But when you're the only officer over 60 to 70 grown men or grown women, it can be very challenging because you have all these requests, all these demands, and at the same time you definitely got to have your head game on because these jokers are so slick like WD-40. They very slick. They're always running game, and especially being a female officer, a lot of these guys try to pinpoint your weaknesses. And as a woman, you got to be careful not being too chatty because, as you mentioned earlier, um, these male inmates they pick up on everything. They keep up with stuff that your probably your old man at home don't keep up with. Oh, you got a different lipstick color today. Oh, you got your nails done. You got your hair done. These jokers, they study everything about you day in and day out. So we know these inmates are going to always be about game. So what is your intake too when it comes to dealing with staff? Because to me personally, I think the staff is worse than the inmates. you know, because the inmates, you can always kind of get them out your face. You can always kind of, you got authority, so you got control over the inmates to a degree. So, what is your intake when it comes to dealing with staff? Because a lot of people, I don't think they are aware of what comes with the territory of being an officer when you got to work or be up under the authority of these sergeants, of these corporals. What is your intake on that?
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
as for me, I can't really say that I've had, any bad experiences, but,
Mm-hmm.
just looking, what I'm saying, being around it with other people. Sometimes, you have this one person that might be just got it out for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just something about you that they just don't like as a upper management person. So it's like, what I'm saying, they trying to every little thing or try to make your job harder than what it actually has to be. That it's just gets to the
Mm-hmm.
point where it just really stresses you out. Like, what I'm saying? Like you said, we don't been there. We don't have some good managers. We don't have some good sergeants, corporals, what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, that we really can vibe with. But then, it has been at a time where we don't have to work with other people that just wasn't what we was used to. You know what I'm saying? They was just not willing to help as much as where we come from. What we was used to. We call, we getting stuff done. Then, you dealing with other people. Oh yeah, I got you, and they never do. Here it is, your shift is over, and you still hadn't got no answer or what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
or got anything that you need. So like you said, we done been there, so it's good and it's bad people, and that's everywhere. Just like with
Mm-hmm.
officers, you gonna have those officers that good officers, and you gonna have those nasty officers. It's just what I'm saying. on a day-to-day. It's not every day that somebody can gonna come there and be the same way every day. It's we are a rare breed, both of us, because we was every day that we came there, we was the same way. But then we know other officers that be there and be nasty. Every little thing somebody do, they getting that paperwork. So
Yeah.
it's just it's good and it's bad on both sides. You're gonna get your good officers, but you're gonna get bad ones too. Some of them that just, what I'm saying, they'll laugh with you, but in the next minute be writing you up at the same damn time.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next question. I also wanted to ask you about why do you think what do you think of some of the factors that are causing such a huge amount of turnovers and staff shortages in these jail county facilities? Because one thing I like we were just talking about working with other officers. You have a lot of these higher upper authority that they definitely abuse the privilege of having authority. When once you done reached a certain rank in this type of career, you no longer have to do the underdog the underdog duties. You're now able to make the schedule versus you having to work the schedule. You can alter the schedule to where you don't have to work that much overtime, but all the officers underneath you that don't have to work, that don't have the authority you have, they have to work whatever you put on their schedule. So I think after a while, once the rookies start catching on, after they done been there like 6 months to a year, they start to catch on like, damn, every time I look at the schedule, I have to pull X amount of days, all the days off I think I'm gonna have. I realize I'm not gonna have these days, because the truth of the matter is, as long as the higher ranks and above are the ones to make the schedule, of course they're gonna make it to where they don't have to work near as much hours. So it starts to burn out all the other officers who don't have that rank. It's kind of pretty much like, to me, I get the sense of like it's kind of like you a second class inmate, where you pretty much got to take what's given to you. You really can't. Yeah, as an officer, you got to take what they say. If they tell you, I know you thought you was gonna have 4 days off this week, but you only gonna have 2 days off. You really can't complain. You can't bicker, even though looking at their schedule, they ain't working half as much as you got to work. And every time you think you're going to have some free time, you get to be with your family, you get to be with your wife, your husband. You come in, okay, well, somebody quit, somebody got fired, so we're going to need you to fill in. And like you mentioned earlier, you had some sergeants that was cool enough to say, okay, we're going to let you pick whatever days, but we're going to need you to work something. But we're going to let you pick. Then you have others, they wouldn't even let you pick. If they want you to work 4 or 5 extra days, you're gonna work them 4 or 5 extra days. But that brings me to my next question. Why do you think why you think so many correctional facilities are losing officers?
I think a lot of times that they're overworked. It's just like I said, they mental, they just at their breaking point. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of times, what I'm saying, people go to looking like, dang, it's just taking so much away from my family, from my life. I'm not really having a life in this career. And, what I'm saying, and it's, a lot of times it forces you to choose. Either, you making the good money, but is it really worth me losing my husband or my partner or, my kids? I'm hardly ever really getting to spend time with them. You know what I'm saying? They having activities at school. There's not a lot of times, you have time to go and be a part of that. So you losing out on a lot of little things that's happening within your family. And then a lot of times they hire a lot of younger people that, you know what I'm saying, that's thinking, okay, yeah, I'm making the money, but okay, come Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I want to be off. You cannot be off every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Every other Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you might not be off either. You might be off one of those days or two of those days. That's just a thing. That's just a job. You have to look at it like, you know what I'm saying? Either you in or you out. It's a good job, but at a point, you know what I'm saying, it could be a bad job for some, but a good job for somebody else. It's just, like I said, it's your mindset. You either gotta want to be in that career or you don't. And then, like, a lot of times, different facilities are built different. Sometimes you're in directly with them, physically in there with them. Then, other facilities have you away from them where, you in a little bubble and they have to talk to you through a speaker, which I think every facility should be like that because,
right.
When you think about it, the officer's safety, I'm safer if I'm away from them than when I have to deal with them. A lot of facilities make them lock down every time that you have to go in and deal with an inmate. So, you know what I'm saying? That's another reason because a lot of them come in and, you know what I'm saying, they overwhelmed when they have to do this job and they're there by themselves. So they get scared and they overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, especially the minute somebody do something, you know what I'm saying, and it just scares them and they don't know how to react to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's really hard, but as far as, saying the training and stuff, I like how, they bringing them in right from the jump. So, you know what I'm saying, this is what you're going to be dealing with.
Yeah,
this is what you're going to have to do. So, it's a lot. And to me, they really need to have people that's actually from within, officers from within the jail to be out there recruiting people. Because
right.
You're not going to be, if you never really worked in the jail, you can tell anybody anything. But if you don't work in the jail, you can see where they can be weak or where they can be strong at. Because that's what we do. I mean, when we don't work in this jail so much, we go to looking at people and we can tell who's going to make it and who ain't going to make it. Because you know how we do. You know how we used to do, girl.
Yeah, we're like, we'll give her about 2 weeks.
Yeah, ain't gonna be here that long. Yeah, we already
sizing them up.
Yeah, ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, remember, because remember, I was a JTO, I was a jail trainer officer. So sometimes, I would hit you up and I'd be like, yo, R, this nigga here, he ain't cut out for this. He already giving inmates extra towels, extra, they already got him doing extra stuff. We can, it's sad, but we've been there so long. You can look when the officer, you just know when a certain officer comes in that they not gonna last that long. Because when we was in Unit 9, I'll say honestly, that was the best unit. I'm serious. I think if they probably would have kept, and I know that's unrealistic thinking, but if they would have kept me in 9, I think I probably, if 9 would have stayed exactly like it was, I think I would have lasted longer. I think my trouble started when they put me on 4. It's like, oh no, we're gonna have to get rid of this broad. She complains too much. But 9 was cool because of the type of authority we had. Who our current lieutenant was at the time, he would try to work with you. He didn't try to abuse his authority. We had a good sergeant at the time, so depending on your unit, you make a stand there. Your career, your basically your job is less stressful depending on who you have in leadership. But the problem is when they start taking you out your element, and this is one of the, just to play devil's advocate, there was a few things that I did not like that. I think it started taking a toll on my career as an officer. For one, you get taken out of your element a lot. And it's kind of like once you done found your comfort zone and you working for a good sergeant, you got a good lieutenant, you got a good unit where you and your workers y'all all vibe really well, you get complacent. Like, okay, I'm finally in a good space. It's not perfect, but it's good. Y'all working together, y'all vibing together, only for them to come and tell you we're gonna have to shut this unit down. And we're going to have to split all of you up and send you in different units, because you get used to working with certain people, and you have certain sergeants that will try to work with you, and then you got others, it's my way or no way at all, and corporals the same way. And you got people who only been an officer for 5 minutes, and once they get a promotion as a corporal, now they think they know everything. And my thing is, just because you pass the test in academy, it still doesn't mean you have the personality for this type of position. Not everybody's good with leadership. You got some people that's book smart, meaning they know the policies and they know the procedures. But when it comes to leadership, like old boy who became corporal, remember he was a 9 with us. We called him Howdy Doody. And remember he got promoted to a corporal and he ended up getting fired.
Yeah.
And that was because the books, just because he passed the test, he already felt like, you know what I mean, like he was qualified. And just because you can pass some tests, that's just part of being promoted as a correctional officer. Yeah, you passed the test, but do you have the personality? You know what I'm saying? Or do you have the balls, like when it was time for him to man up, when he saw his female officer was in trouble with another inmate, he froze up. Now you just got promoted as a corporal. Now you thought being a corporal meant you get to sit behind a desk and chill and just point and give orders. But what you wasn't prepared for, if something jump off in that jail, a fight break out, or one of your officers get in a certain situation, you're going to have to be the HNIC. You're going to have to be the main one in the front line. And Howdy Doody wasn't prepared for that. He thinking being corporal, you just get to chill. And when it was time for him to put his corporal duties into effect, he froze up and he couldn't do it, which caused him to get terminated. So it's a lot of things about this type of profession that will really irk your nerves. Like I said, you'll have a good sergeant, and for some strange reason, the good sergeants, they never keep them around. They always end up replacing them with the nastiest, with the most difficult ones. That's the thing about it. That's the thing. Yeah.
But and then I think that's another reason why they have turnover, because what I'm saying, in actuality, I know when we signed up for this job that, what I'm saying, they did, I don't know, in your class, what I'm saying, you have to let them know that because you start here don't mean that you're going to always be there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then a person going to get comfortable where they at. Mm-hmm. They comfortable with the people they're working with. And like you said, it is a toll on you when you got to start all over, you know what I'm saying, in another area where you don't know anybody, or, you praying that, oh my God, at least one person from where I come from is in here, is down here with me or something. But, you know what I'm saying, sometimes it don't work that way.
No,
and
it doesn't.
You have to, what I'm saying, start over. And a lot of people just, get to the point they get frustrated and be like, oh no, I don't want to do this. I'm used to where I was, and that's where I want to be. But at the same time, like what I'm saying, we all don't have our ups and downs about that. Got to go here and work here and this, that, and the other. But I don't think they really realize how stressful that is when you with people that you really don't know, and then when things are a little I can't say out of control.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you don't know who's supposed to be where. I don't even know these people, so I can't really say that this person's supposed to be locked down and this person ain't supposed to be locked down. I don't know because I don't know these people.
Yeah, that and you're right. I think it has everything to do with how you're being trained, because the way I was trained, they didn't prepare us as officers that we were going to move around a lot. You know, simple stuff like that. Anybody that's new to this type of career, they need to be very thorough in that, because it'll be a culture shock for you thinking that wherever you're assigned, that's where you're going to always be. And you know, like, and they prepared you, but like I said, everybody's not good at training. You know, they don't thoroughly. I know when I was a jail training officer, I kept it 100. That's probably why most of them ended up not lasting, because I told them up front, I ain't give them no sales pitch. I said, look here, I mean, I asked them, are you married? You know, do you have an insecure wife? Do you have a jealous husband? Do you have 5, 6 kids? Do you have kids that you're going to need to pick up from childcare every day? Do you have reliable family members who could pick your kids up in an event you don't get off on time? And I would ask them this when I was training officers, because I wanted them to know what they were signing up for. I said, I'm going to let you know now. It's going to be days you're not going to get off on time, because you and I both know it's been several times we had to stay over, because that was another pet peeve for me. You have officers that are constantly calling out, you know, coming in late, some no show, you know what I mean? And I think that's another very aggravating part about being a correctional officer, because it's gonna be plenty of days you're not gonna go home on time. You're not going, but this is the thing. They expect you to be on time. Like our shift, so I know me and you, we used to work night shift at the facility. So technically our shift did not start till 8 p.m. But we had to be there 7:30, because there's this procedure called briefing, in which every officer, before you start your shift, you have to go to what's called the debriefing. And which I kind of felt was is pointless, but it's necessary, but it's pointless at the same time, because a lot of that stuff, you know, you will end up hearing about it, you know, when you go to the other, when you go to your actual unit. You know, it's kind of like they repeating the same stuff, but at the same time they wasn't, because they were telling you stuff about that was going on in other areas of the jail. But anyway, you had to be there 7:30. So if you're coming from an hour away, some officers came from an hour away. Some officers had to travel further than others. So you got to be there 7:30 to listen through the briefing. They're going to tell you through the briefing, okay, inmate Hodges tried to stab inmate Brown. We had in unit 4, inmate Wilcox physically assaulted inmate Johnson. You know, they telling you everything that happened in the other units throughout that shift. Then you get to your unit, you got to sit through another BS meeting. Now they got to tell you everything that happened in that unit. So you got to sit there another 15, another 20 minutes, you know, to listen to that. Then after they done told you everything that happened in that unit, now you got to go inside your wing to get another briefing, because now this officer got to tell you everything that happened in that wing. So it's like, as soon as you get there, you already got 20 things being told to you before you even start your shift.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, it's a lot. It's already a lot before you start your shift. And the thing about it is, it's so many, like I said, the staff to me always been more of a headache than the inmates, because the staff, they like to take their time coming in to relieve you. That used to really aggravate me. If I've already been pulling 12, 13 hours, please come in the wing and relieve me. I'm ready to go. But no, they want to sit there, microwave their sausage biscuit, do all kind of extra stuff that they could have been doing just so you can sit in your wing unnecessarily another 15 or 20 minutes. So what were some other things that kind of aggravated you being a correctional officer?
That was one of the main things. Come on, get on your job, honey. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, that is one of the main things. And you know what I'm saying? It's just that's the main thing to me. When the next shift come in, come on. And those got to do those shakedowns.
Girl, I hate them damn things. Them shakedowns, oh my gosh. When you got to actually go in a cell and do basically inspect, lift up their mattress, look through all their paperwork. You got to look for shanks, you got to look for contraband. You know, every once in a while you'll find some what they call that moonshine stuff. I forgot what they call it, where they mix the bread with the fruits and they make some kind of alcohol substance out of it. Yeah, so that was very very aggravating to having to do shakedowns, or you think you about to get off and they telling you, oh no, they got a shakedown going on in unit 3. So I got to sit here another hour while they shake down something. So it definitely was a lot of time and stuff being taken. So with that being said, if you ever had to go back to corrections, would you do it again?
I would.
With the same facility, or would you change anything about it as far as the facility you used to work at, or you would do corrections anywhere, even at that particular facility?
Yeah, I would do it there. You know, it was it was like I said, it's just long hours. You just gotta have to give up.
Yeah, that's the that's the thing about it. And for me, because I've been asked this question before. I've had somebody ask me would I do corrections again, and at this point in time, I definitely would not. And the reason why I would not go back into it, because I need to have a say so when it comes to my time and my schedule. And I know that's just one of those jobs where I'm not gonna have a say so over my schedule. And the other things I did not like was I don't like the amount of having too much authority over me, where I got to go through this person. It's too much chain of command. Because the problem for that, from what I learned, is that if the chain of command has an alliance, they're pretty much going to stick together. And that was the other thing. You didn't have the same issue I had, so you didn't have to encounter the ugliness of it. But based off the fact that I had a issue with a certain person who had a certain amount of authority, it made it difficult for me to be heard. And this is something that a lot of people, as long as you don't get on nobody's bad side, I don't think you'll too much have any problems and stuff. But once you get on certain people bad side, especially when you start voicing your opinion too much, or you start calling out stuff, or you start constantly bringing stuff to their attention, like, why am I working this amount of hours but this person ain't? Why I'm this and why I'm that? Once you constantly start coming at authority too many times, you're questioning them too many times, you're confronting them too many times, you start to become a threat in a sense, because you're not somebody who's just sitting there and going with the flow. You actually calling them out. You actually questioning them. You saying, okay, that you right, priest. That's what it's called, hooch. I couldn't think of the name of it. I couldn't think of the name of it. The wine that I was telling you about that they have in the jail, where they mix the damn bread and the fruits. That's hooch. Yeah, somebody just said that's hooch. And you're right, that's just what it is. And we used to find it all the time. And our stuff would stink. and it smelled so strong. I'm like, oh my God, just the smell of it made me want to vomit as soon as I opened the door. But like I said, that's the reasons I would not go back into it, because when I'm ready to take vacation, I want to take vacation. I don't want to have to compete with other officers where that person already requested that day, so you can't get it. Or we already short staffed, so we already got too many people out. And my thing is, again, because we talked about the jails being short staffed. That's the reason so many officers are burnt out. If you know your jail, if you know your staff is already short, why are you sending a bunch of people to the damn police academy?
I can't answer that one.
You send all of these people. My thing is, I get it. You want people to go up and rank, but why you got to send so many at one time? Why you sending like 4 or 5 of them in one unit? They'll all go to the academy. So they're constantly being short-staffed, and you just have some people that just quit. They can't take it no more. They hit that breaking point when they finally just get frustrated, like, I can't do it. And they just walk. They walk and they never look back. So as I stated, if I were to go back and working in it, if I were to go back and work in a jail, it would have to be for like administrative. I would have to be behind the scenes. Now, I will rephrase that question. I will work out of jail, but not as an officer. I want to be like the ones up front. I want to drink cappuccinos from the $2,000 cappuccino machine. Sit behind my $5,000 desk made of wood grain with all these plaques on the wall. That way I could order some damn Ruth Chris through Uber Eats. That's the position I want. and you notice none of them who work up front never came in the back. So they never could understand what officers was going through.
Yeah.
They never, not only that, they never even did surveys asking officers how could they make the facility better. At least get some suggestions, because you never know. We may actually be an asset. If you would hear officers out, we may be an asset to how the jail could run smoother. But for one, y'all don't work back there, so y'all can't even relate to what the officers go through. Y'all don't even have to deal with the inmates. Y'all don't even have to feed the inmates. Y'all don't have to do their laundry. Y'all don't have to do nothing. That's why y'all can't relate. But the worst thing was when they came out with that Guardian, Roberts. That Guardian, that pretty much that really messed everything up when they started that Guardian.
It was a lot.
That Guardian, that's what messed it up. What? Imagine having to get up every 20 minutes to do security checks. And you got to do this doing laundry, and you got to do this doing child. You still got to stop and do security checks. Hell, if a fight broke out, you still got to stop and do security checks. Well, I'm exaggerating. That's probably the only time you ain't got to do it because they see you on camera. But other than that, Roberts, I'm definitely I'm glad you shared with me your experience as a correctional officer, because like I said, I know that you would have had some very valuable information to share on this live, because you have done it for 4 years. And I appreciate you for coming on this live, and it was unexpected. I just kind of ambushed you and stuff. So I appreciate you for being a good sport and coming on here, sharing information about, what it's like being a female correctional officer. But is there any last advice that you would like to give to someone that's considering going into corrections? Anything you would like to share with them before I log you off or whatever?
Just make sure you do your research. Just do your research and make sure this is something that you want to do. Like I said, it's not a bad thing for some. For some people is. If you're a party person, it's definitely not for you. If you're somebody out to achieve a goal, then this might be something for you.
Absolutely. And I like what you said earlier, especially for female officers. The advice that you gave, that even though you are the center of attention, it's still, you still have to be mindful and not get caught up with these male inmates, again, because you're around them 15, 16 hours at a time, so you got to be careful in how you entertain them. So Duffy Roberts, I really appreciate you, girl, for hanging out with me on this live. And again, I definitely appreciate you for still being a friend, even though I don't deal with them other hoes at the jail I used to work at. But nevertheless, I really appreciate you for coming on the show. So when I'm done with my live, if you're not too busy, I'll definitely give you a call back and I'll send you the link.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you soon, love.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. So that was a former co-worker of mine. We both was correctional officers at the facility where I worked at. And I had her come on this morning because I basically had wanted to kind of give y'all some insight. What's up to Ishmael, Steve, Priest, Larry, Blue Devil G, Mahogany, Koja Malik. Y'all really couldn't read everybody's comments and stuff too much because I was on a phone call or whatever, but she was sharing some very insightful information. Again, I've done corrections for 2 years, and I know as a female officer, this type of profession is not for everybody. If you are a woman who has low self-esteem, I don't advise you to get into this type of career. If you're the type of woman who has low self-esteem issues, if you like attention from men, I don't advise you to get into this type of profession. So for those of you who are not familiar with the case that happened back in 2000, let me see, 2000, what is it, 2022? Yeah, the officer, female officer Vicki White, who basically was fraternizing with an inmate. Vicki White and prisoner Casey White fled a detention facility in Lauderdale County. This was April 29th of last year. They were finally captured by authorities. So basically, Vicki White, who had been in this profession for 20 years, she was fraternizing, involved with this inmate who had already been incarcerated for committing murder. He was in there for home invasion, carjacking. He already had 15 counts back in 2016. He was convicted on 7 of those counts in 2019, including attempted murder and robbery. He was sentenced to serve 75 years in prison. While serving out his sentence at the correctional facility, Casey White allegedly confessed in 2020. He even admitted to stabbing a 59-year-old. So this was the type of man this female officer was involved with. She actually fell in love with this man who had all of these criminal offenses. He was charged with 2 counts of capital murder in her death. He was brought to Lauderdale County's detention center to be arraigned in October 2020. At the jail, he came into contact with Vicki White, who was working as the assistant director. So this officer already had a high rank. Authorities also learned Casey White planned to escape the jail and take hostage. We shook him down and we did find a shank in the possession. Casey and Vicki White remained in touch with each other throughout many years. So this female officer, she had been dealing with this inmate for many, many years, talking to him on the phone, communicating with him, all of this during her duration as an officer. So February 25th, 2022, Casey White, age 38, he was brought back to Lauderdale Detention Center. He and Vicki White, 56-year-old widow, Keep in mind, she didn't have no children. She ended up forming a special relationship. Now, as I stated, women who are lonely or are seeking a relationship, I don't recommend you get into the profession as a correctional officer. If you're lonely and you're seeking a companion, I don't advise you to put yourself in this type of environment, because it could be very tempting to cross some lines that you shouldn't be crossing. After years as an exemplary employee at the facility, Vicki White announced plans to retire. So she was close to retiring, y'all. This woman had put in 20 years of work as an officer. She sold her home on April 18th for $95,550. So she sold her house to be with this man, with this inmate. She had been living with her mother after she sold her house. It was brought to the understanding that Vicki White took out money from a number of banks in the weeks before she escaped. She went shopping for men's clothes at a local department store and stopped in an adult store. Now, I don't know what possesses women to think that they can have a successful life, that they can live a good life with a convict that they help escape from prison. I don't know how far she thought she was going to get with this. I don't know if she was trying to get to Mexico. It's just unrealistic. As a female officer, even if you see an inmate that you find attractive, even if you see an inmate that you got some type of attraction to, even if you and the inmate seem to vibe, y'all having good conversation, if you know this inmate is incarcerated for murder, something very severe where he's going to be doing 10 years or more, that it's not it's not realistic that you can ride off into the sunset and have a real future. Priest says $95,000 house sounds like a trailer. 95,000 is 200 Accords. Well, they said it was worth. They said the house was really worth $235,600, but she sold it for that amount. So this just goes to show you how infatuated she was with this man. She was willing to sell her $235,000 home for trailer park price. So technically, you're right, Priest. She sold it for two prices of. She sold it for the amount of 2 Honda Accords. Power of the D. Exactly. Penitentiary penis at that. This is penitentiary penis we're talking about. Okay? So, she went on a shopping spree. She already had it planned that she was going to get them. Okay? She already had it planned. She also purchased an orange 2007 Ford Edge vehicle. My thing is this. If you're going to help somebody escape, why the hell would you get a bright orange SUV? Yeah, lethal penis. So as you can see, this lady had thought this out. She had already thought this out. She planned it. She sold a lot of her stuff. She got rid of a lot of things. She got rid of her house. She started purchasing clothes, purchased wigs. She thought this well and through. This wasn't something she just decided to do at the last minute. She really thought this out. She sold the house. She got rid of a lot of things in order to help him escape. Now, April 28th, she stayed at the Quality Inn Hotel in Florence on the night of April 28th. The video shows her staying the night at the hotel. She positioned the orange Ford Edge at a parking lot about 10 minutes from the detention center. So she had already bought the car. She was already scoping out at the hotel. She pretty much definitely had her mind made up. that she was going to follow through the goal this far. She had already made her mind up that she was going to go all the way through with helping this man escape. Jail policy established the inmates are always accompanied by two deputies. Now, what I found really ironic being a former correctional officer, first of all, you never let one officer escort an inmate anywhere. At about 9:30 a.m., Vicki White told another deputy. Now, she told another officer that she was taking Casey White to a mental health evaluation in court and then would seek medical attention because she wasn't feeling well, according to Singleton. Now, all of that already didn't make sense. Now, if I'm working at the jail as an officer and another officer comes to me and tells me, well, I'm getting ready to take this inmate to get a mental health evaluation in court, that's already not sounding right. Because why are you taking an inmate to get a health evaluation in court, and when you already got nurses there and you already got other staff there that can escort the inmate to do that? Why are you taking matters upon yourself to do it? Then not only that, you doing it by yourself. They always tell you whenever you remove an inmate from a facility, whenever you're taking that inmate to a medical appointment, to a doctor's appointment, or even a court, you're supposed to have more than one officer escort that inmate because anything can happen. So that was already a major red flag. And the officer who she told that to, who didn't question it, who didn't second guess it, they definitely didn't have good judgment, because that was already a red flag. You're not supposed to take any inmate anywhere by yourself. Then, not only that, when she helped the inmate escape, I noticed she put cuffs on him through the front. When I was trained as an officer, you never cuff inmates from the front. It makes no sense. Think about it. If you are a police officer and you are driving in the front, why the hell would you cuff an inmate? You would cuff him in the front. Don't you know he could lift his arm up, reach over your seat, and pull his arms in and choke the hell out you with the cuffs? So all of that was already suspect. Just the way she cuffed him. You never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, you don't cuff no inmate from the front. Not only that, when I saw the video, when you cuff an inmate from the front, you're supposed to cuff him from the back. Okay? You cuff the inmate from the back. Not only that, when I saw the video, she had the inmate walking behind her. Listen, whenever you're escorting an inmate and you're taking that inmate out of the facility, because inmates are taken out of the facility from time to time. Inmates have court, inmates have medical emergency, inmates will be escorted. That wasn't the issue. The issue was she had no business escorting that inmate by herself. Then on top of that, she let him walk behind her. Who in their right mind walks behind, who walks in front of an inmate? As an officer, you're supposed to have your eyes on inmates at all times. You never let them walk behind you. That inmate could attack you from the back. That inmate could bop you up the back of your head. You don't let no inmate walk behind you. But this just goes to show this how comfortable she was, y'all. She was just that comfortable. That's how you know she had been dealing with him. She had been seeing him because she was just that comfortable. She let this man walk behind her like, they was coming out of a grocery store. Now, I'm going to show the video right quick. This is how you know this was just way, way too comfortable. She was way too comfortable. This is an absolute no-no. Never, ever, 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 under any circumstances, cuff an inmate from the front and then you let an inmate walk behind you. Now, this is the video right here, y'all, that I'm showing you, and how you know she had definitely was out of her professionalism. Now, as you can see, she's getting out the car. She's entering inside the facility. Now, all this time, she got everything ready. She got the hotel ready. She got the car ready. She done already sold her home. She got everything planned and in the making. So she's just entering inside the facility because in her mind, she's going to get this dude out today. She's going to help him escape today. So she's coming out. Let me show y'all something. Whoa, whoa. Look at that. Let's go back. This is a complete no-no. Look how she just holds the door like, no. All of that was out of pocket. First of all, whenever you hold a door open for an inmate, this is why you need 2 escorts. You need 2 escorts. One should have been behind him while one officer was in front of him holding the door open. And if anything, if she was going to escort him by herself, she should have had him in front of her. All of this is way too comfortable. This is way too dangerous. Look how he's cuffed from the front. Now, would you imagine an inmate behind you with multiple murder charges, a long criminal extensive record, and being violent? Would you trust cuffing him in the front and having him walk behind you? And look, he's walking out just as nonchalant because he knows what's going down. He knows he's not coming back. Him and her done already talked thoroughly about this. They done already discussed it. So, of course, she loaded him up, getting into the car. And at this point in time, she has made the ultimate decision to throw her 20-year career down the drain. So for years, they've been on this manhunt thinking, not years, for weeks, they've been on this manhunt thinking that when she helped this guy escape, that something had happened to her. They thought something had happened to her. They thought he possibly hurt her or harmed her, when the whole time it was planned from the beginning. So this is just a prime example of, these are the very things that they train you not to do as an officer. So this was already red flags that, like I said, she already had this plan from the beginning. She was planning on being with this man. All of the signs is very evident. You know what I mean? This woman, unfortunately, she was very lonely. She was a widower, so I'm assuming she was married at one point in time. Something happened. I'm not sure about that exactly. She didn't have any children. So even with her 20-year pension, everything that she was going to receive for 20 years of hard work in law enforcement, at that point in time, her loneliness meant way more to her than her career. So anyway, I'll go ahead and log out of that. But this is just a prime example of showing you how inmates have so much power to infiltrate the mind of a woman. If you're lonely, if you seeking attention, these inmates, they're smart. They know how to get into your head. They know your weaknesses. You know, they know how to pretty much pinpoint, you know, what type of female you are. You holding too much conversation. You laughing, you smiling with them. So much to the point to where you're distracted. You got other inmates around you doing other stuff, and you ain't even picking up on it because you in this man's face too much. This man is in your face too much. Now, there's been several of female officers who have been caught fraternizing with inmates to the point they put money on the books. They smuggling drugs. They bringing in contraband. A lot of that goes on in this type of profession. And it's all because there was an inmate who was smart enough to smell the smell loneliness on a woman. So it just goes to show you, it's very imperative that if you get in this type of profession, that you know what you're signing up for. Like I said, that's why I had my friend on here with me, because she worked in the correctional facility center as well. So she knows what really goes on behind closed doors. You know, it's not the worst profession, but if this is a profession that you are really seeking and looking into, I advise that you do your research. Every facility is different. Okay, what one facility will allow, another one will not allow. So it also depends on which type of facility you're working at. So make sure you do your research. Talk to the officers who have been there for a long amount of time. They'll be able to give you more of an insight on what it's like actually working at that facility. So anyway, I'm not going to keep y'all long. I want y'all to enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. I just want to share some information with y'all on what it's like, you know, being in corrections. You know, I've done content on this several times before, but I feel like it's always something new. It's always new information that could be learned, that could be obtained in this type of profession. I would definitely tell you that if you get in this profession, you're not going to really be able to have a social life. You're not going to be able to really spend a lot of time with your family, your friends. By the time you do, it's going to take years. The more you rank up, you won't be as you'll have more of a say so as you rank up. Once you hit that, climb that ladder, when you go from sergeant to lieutenant, captain, and above, you don't have as much stress compared to a correctional officer that's just starting out, that got to work their way from the bottom to the top. Keep in mind that you're going to have a lot of different authority over you. So in some instances, it could work for you, and in some instances, it could work against you. You have a lot of these higher and aboves. They got an alliance with each other. They got a buddy system. So sometimes when you go to your superior and you make a complaint about another officer, your superior may very much already have a bond with the officer you're complaining about. And if that's the case, and this happens a lot in law enforcement, it can come back to haunt you, because the higher and ups, they're going to stick together. Appreciate it, Larry. Gray sweatpants is standard issue, ladies. But also, before I get ready to shut it down, if anybody would I normally don't do this, but if anybody would like to come up and ask a question or anything before I shut it down, I normally don't do open panels, but I'm trying to get in the mode of, you know, making my channel more friendly, more panel friendly, because I've been very what's the word? I've been very confined with just always being on the panel on my own. But I do have an open link. I can send a link to anyone who's interested in coming up, asking any questions regarding corrections or my experience as far as a correctional officer. So if anybody wants the link, this would be the time to request it, and I'll send it to your email, and I'll be glad to let you join in before I shut it down. So I'll give it another 10 minutes before I actually shut it down, in case anybody has any questions that they would like to ask. But that these are just some of the things that people who work in corrections, they don't, a lot of the stuff you're not gonna know till you get there. So like I said, they already have, what's up, Detroit? They already have a buddy system in which a lot of higher ups works together. So learn, this is another thing. Learn who is cool with who before you report certain officers. Before you throw certain officers under the bus, before you report certain staff members, find out who is cool with who. Because you could be reporting somebody that has an alliance with the higher up. You could be reporting the chief's goddaughter. You could be reporting the sergeant's brother-in-law. A lot of these facilities sometimes have a lot of family members. Sometimes you don't know who's related to who when it comes to working in these facilities. My signature jail line for female staff, girl, what's your cash out? Oh my gosh. And you know what, Priest? The sad part is a lot of women get got like that. They do get got like that. A lot of officers don't make a whole lot of money. That's really how a lot of officers get caught up in smuggling in contraband, cell phones, and drugs. They let inmates get in their head and tell them, hey, I can give you more money within a couple of hours than you make within weeks. And the truth is, inmates, they got all kind of pull where they can get you more money than what you're making per hour. There's inmates who can give you money in days that it takes you to work for in weeks. Inmates got all type of outside connections. They'll have you meeting, working with people on the outside of the jail that will pay you $1,500 just to smuggle in the cell phone that day, where it takes you damn near 2 weeks to make that. You got inmates that can pay you $2,000, $2,500 in a day, and it's going to take you 2 weeks by the time you get that check. So it's very tempting. That's how a lot of officers get got. And let me tell you something, as an officer, once you make that one deal, once you take that one deal, it becomes very addicting. It becomes very addicting. Once you make that first hit, once you done smuggled in that first cell phone and you made $2,000 sneaking in the cell phone, that quick lick, what they call it, an inmate pays you $2,000 to sneak in the cell phone. And you realize you was able to do it quick and smooth, and you didn't get caught. Next thing you notice, they may pay you to sneak in another cell phone. Hey, good looking out on the first phone. Know what I'm saying? I can get you what I know. This how inmates talk. Listen, you know what I'm saying? I know you probably only getting about $18 an hour, $17 an hour. What you'll get in an hour, if you do this one solid for me, if you do this one solid, I can get you what you make in an hour. I can get you triple that in one day. If you go meet my man, so-and-so, caught this cell phone from my homeboy. If you bring in this cell phone for me, you look out for me, I'm going to hook you up and I'm going to send you $2,000. So at first, you thinking about it because it sounds like a good deal. This inmate offer you $2,000 just to bring in a phone. Doesn't sound like a major task. That takes a lot of work to be accomplished, because truth be told, I don't care how much security they have. An officer can sneak in anything if he or she puts their mind to it. You can sneak in anything. All this big stuff they tell you, oh, well, if you get caught bringing in this, you get caught. If you're smart enough, you won't get caught sneaking in nothing. Because as an officer, you can sneak in anything. But the problem gonna be, the problem that comes back to bite the officers is you have inmates who run their mouth. What's up, Paul? So this inmate comes to you with a deal, asking you to sneak in the phone, and he'll give you $2,000 cash. So of course, at first, it's going to be a part of you that's going to doubt it, because you know inmates will lie. But he'll give you a time, he'll give you a place, he'll tell you, look, if you meet my man on such and such street. He gonna give you the phone, and he gonna give you the $2,000 for bringing in the phone. So against your better judgment, you go and you meet this dude outside the jail that the inmate connected you with. Yep, and definitely cash out. So either it's gonna be cash out or he gonna pay you cash. Now that they done cashed out you this $2,000, you ain't gonna want to send it back. Or he meets you, give you the cash and the phone. That's a tempting offer. You're not gonna want to send it back. You're gonna take it. Once you get yourself in that situation as an officer, it's very hard to turn it down. That's why you don't get in that position to begin with. But once you start sitting there entertaining a conversation, and you start asking questions, okay, well, where would I have to meet him? Well, how's he going to pay me? Is he going to pay me up front? Is he going to pay me? What's in it for me? And once the deal sounds good, and you go and you participate in it, you go and meet the person that they connect you with, you done already cross boundaries. Once you accept cash from an outside connect that the inmate told you about, you done already signed a deal with the devil. It's already done. So now that you done got this $2,000, you got to fall through. You got to come through. You got to smuggle this phone inside the facility, because you done took the cash. You done took the payment. So as an officer, when you go in these facilities, even though they got these metal detectors and stuff, it's really no help, because my thing is, I ain't gonna lie, 1 or 2 times I missed and I brought my phone in by accident, forgetting my phone on me, and a metal detector didn't catch it. Because you got to realize, officers, we already wearing a bunch of metal. You're wearing cuffs, you're wearing cuff keys. So the metal detector gonna go off regardless. So if you got a phone on you, the metal detector ain't gonna catch it. You get what I'm saying? So you have an officer, you done took this $2,000. You got to bring this phone in, sneak the phone in. Now you got to figure out how you gonna make sure the inmate get the phone. So you got to smuggle it in and somehow give it to the inmate without the other inmates noticing that you done brought a phone inside the facility. So as the officer, it's easy for you to plant the cell phone and pretty much put it anywhere. It is. Unfortunately, Priest, it is a good deal for an officer that's struggling and not making no money. So you bring in the cell phone, and at this point, all you got to do is find out where the hell you're going to hide it, and you let the inmate know where it's at. So you bring in the phone, you got to do shakedowns so you can plant that phone anywhere. Now that you done did that hookup, keep in mind, you done signed a deal with the devil. Now the demands are only going to get high. Listen, once you do one favor for an inmate, you got to keep doing it. Because at this point, he could blow the whistle and throw you under the bus. And if you don't do any more favors for him, he can use this one favor that you did do for him. He could use it against you. So once you open Pandora's box, it's downhill from there. Because niggas get greedy. Let's just be frank. Niggas get greedy. Once you do one favor, they stay in need. They gonna come at you again. And now that you done got addicted to that fast money, you'll do it a second time. Because in your mind, you're going to feel like, okay, well, I got away with it once. So you're going to do it again. Now, this time, he wants you to smuggle in some cigarettes. A pack of cigarettes, what? I think costs like $9 now. The inmate tells you, I can give you $200. If you bring in a couple of cartons, if you bring in 2-3 cartons, that's what, only $30 compared to the $200-300 he about to pay you. See, this is why money is the root of all evil, because it will make you break all of your morals. It will make you jeopardize your career. Once people put them dollar bills in your face, and you struggling because your paycheck is going to be another week or two, and you got bills that are due right now, your car note is due right now. Next, you smuggling in cigarettes. Now, keep in mind, inmates are going to keep upping the ante. You done smuggled in a cell phone. You done smuggled in cigarettes. Now, they want you to put money on the books. If you have an inmate that's paying you to smuggle and bring in certain stuff, now it's still certain things he's going to need from the jail that he cannot always get you to get. So eventually he's going to look for you to put money on the books so he can get his commissary, so he can make phone calls. Inmates, a stupid officer, a weak officer is the inmate's dream come true. If they could find a weak officer, a vulnerable officer, if they can find one that's soft enough and thirsty enough to do all kind of favors, they're gonna use it to their advantage. Because some of these inmates don't have no family looking out for them. Some of them don't have friends looking out for them. So a gateway to an officer is a real big advantage for an inmate. So again, these inmates are going to keep upping the ante. Once you do one favor, you're going to find yourself doing other favors. And this is how officers get caught helping inmates. Not only are inmates are going to get greedy, you're going to have other inmates that are jealous of the inmate that you helping out. That's going to be the next problem. Inmates are like women. They love to run their mouth. They love to tell other inmates that's their bragging rights or what all they got you doing. If an inmate was smart, he'll keep his mouth closed so the officer won't get exposed and he can keep getting things from the officer. But some of these inmates are dumb, which is the reason why they're inmates, because they wasn't good at what they were doing. You got inmates that love to have bragging rights. They run their mouth to tell other inmates, oh, I got this officer doing this. I got this officer doing that. They're bragging, not understanding. They messing up their connect. Because the other inmate going to be hating, knowing that this officer is looking out for you, for that inmate. So that inmate going to do one of two things. That inmate either going to snitch on that officer by reporting that that officer is doing this, doing that, blah, blah, blah. Or the inmate is going to blackmail the officer and say, look, I already know what you do. I already know who you've been looking out for. I already know you looked out for my boy so-and-so. I already know you put money on so-and-so books. I need a favor. You don't look out for me, I'm going to let so-and-so, I'm going to let your sergeant know, I'm going to let your corporal know, I'm going to let them know what all you've been doing for other officers. So now you don't put yourself in you done dug a deeper hole, because now you got the hating ass inmate. You got the hating inmate that's willing to blackmail you because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inmate wants you to do favors for them. Now do you see how out of hand it can get? Because now that inm Once you smuggle, once you open the door for one inmate, now you opening the door for several inmates, because you can't look out for one inmate, but then you tell another inmate, no, I'm not looking out for you. No, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. That inmate is going to rat you out. Now, there's no such thing as no snitching when it comes to an officer. Inmates only value no snitching when it comes to other inmates. But an inmate, there's no restrictions on snitching on the officer. An inmate will throw an officer up under the bus without a problem. And that's the position you put yourself in as an officer. Once you start letting these inmates mentally infiltrate and get into your head, got you doing favors, got you smuggling in contraband, got you putting money on their books. At this point, it's going to get so out of control to where either one, you're going to get caught, or two, you're going to have to quit. Because it's going to get too much. If you're already doing favors for 2-3 inmates, now I done went from 3 inmates to 6 inmates. Now I done went from 6 inmates to 10, 15. It's getting out of control. Ain't no way you're going to be able to keep looking out for that many inmates and you don't get caught. You're going to drop the ball somewhere. So at this point, you got to make a decision. You got to quit before it get further out of hand. And most of the time, most officers don't quit. They keep going until they get caught. Very rarely do any of them quit. Something happens and then they get caught, because some of them are scared. They're afraid. They don't know what to do. They know they done open a big door that they can't close, and they don't know how to close that door now. So anyway, I just want to share some tips with y'all on this corrections, the drawbacks that come along with being a correctional officer. Again, big ups to my homegirl who was in here earlier, who was on the phone with me, Roberts, for giving some very insightful information. Hopefully anybody who's considering corrections, who's thinking about corrections, hopefully that's something you learned in the chat that you should consider before going into this type of profession. So anyway, I definitely want to appreciate each and every one of y'all for hanging out in the chat. Anybody who's interested in getting a tumbler, you are more than welcome to email me at cafedayparis79@yahoo.com. Also, do not forget, I do sell cable, 9,000 channels for only $20 a month if you have a Fire Stick. So anyway, y'all, I'm going to shut it down. And I'll probably be doing another upload probably this evening. If not this evening, I'll probably be doing one sometime next week. So anyway, y'all have a blessed Sunday, and y'all take care. Talk to y'all soon.